All right, my man. We are back for round two with Clayton Muehlstein for the DreamState Livin Podcast, man. Super excited to have you back, man. How we doing today?
We're doing fantastic. Super excited for the time together and super grateful for the opportunity to be back on.
Yeah, man. I'm excited for today's conversation because I feel like on the first episode, we really like planted some seeds about your life and who you are, and we got a little bit of a taste of like what you went through in your journey. And we're at a very exciting stage right now. And this was like the intention of this podcast where Why Me is launched. So your book
Yeah.
is now launched, where I'm pretty sure the viewers can buy it on, we'll have you talk about it, but can buy it on platforms. So I wanted to start out with why write a book?
That's a great question. Yeah. So to go off of what you kind of said before, right now we're in the stage where the pre-sale copy is available to people to purchase. So what that does, if anyone is interested, the link is in my bio, and I'm sure at the end I'll leave my Instagram handle here. But yeah, you get a special edition copy that's hardcover, signed by yours truly. Disclaimer: if you do purchase a pre-sale copy, it's you still have to wait till the book is officially released, and that's when all of them will get shipped out. Um, but
Do you have an
going
idea
off,
on when that'll be yet?
yeah, so we're thinking end of March right now. We are just kind of um, nailing down a location to do the release party yet. So we're gonna have like an official release party with people, maybe some appetizers, some music, stuff like that, just to kind of celebrate the last 6 years of work that have gone into this book. So to be determined or to be announced on that date.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, let's go. Well, I will tell the audience I have read the book. Clay sent me a copy a few months ago. He wanted me to go through it before his publishers put it out, just to have like a view on it. And I am a sucker for storytelling. And I really love when a book is written with storytelling and you get a glimpse into someone's life. Now, this is the first time I've read a book where I've been very close to the person that actually wrote the book. So it's been a really close friend of mine. So I can see into this window of this man's world that I've been very close to. I felt almost intimate going through this experience of reading this book because Clay and I had become such close friends. And I will say that you don't need to be best friends with Clay to enjoy this book. For me, all the time I like to see how to put a perspective on a bad day because we as human beings we tend to think, oh, we got it bad and wow, it can't get worse than this, or oh my God, my checking account is in the negatives. And a lot of times, if you just have a little bit of perspective on what a bad day actually is, you can have some solace and some understanding that, okay, your current situation is not your final destination. It seems like there was a lot of that realization for you throughout that book. And you just got to keep moving forward. And if you can see, like, hey, other people have it worse, it'll help you get through whatever you're going through. So if we could, I wanted to just, and that could maybe lay the framework, but I wanted to go back and to that question of why did you write this book? Why didn't you just want to say goodbye to that fucking chapter of your life and not think about or deal with this shit ever again and just move forward with your life now? Like, why even do this?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, you know, n- to not give too much of the book away, I was going through a very difficult period of my time, very difficult period of life during this time. It was about a 4 year period, I would say. And for the first 2 years, it was extremely dark. And I had absolutely no plans on writing a book throughout this process. But some pretty wild things happened that I got put in situations where I met certain people and you just kind of have a lot of time to talk. And I got put in situations with people that were also in a low place as well. And you really do, I really saw the truth in the statement, misery loves company, because a lot of people that I was around at that time were very miserable, but I wasn't. We were in the same physical location, and people around me were suffering like really bad. It's very clear, very evident. And I wasn't. I was obviously feeling pain because of what I was going through. It's not like I enjoyed necessarily what I was going through or being in the same physical location as these other people, but I was learning so much from what I was going through. And it really allowed me to or it really forced me to ask like questions like why? Like, why are we in the same location? I'm gaining and they're losing. Um,
Are
but
we
I
cool
would
if we
say,
go, and sorry to interrupt, are we
no,
cool
no.
to go into the actual situations? Because I really want to give the listeners like a lot today about what
Mhm.
you went through. I want to like respect the book and I want to respect you, obviously. But are we able to go into like these situations a little bit?
Um, Yeah, I mean, let's just go with it. I mean, at the end of the day, we can always just discuss on maybe like when we release this, if that, because we don't want to. I don't want to give away the book too much, and that could be on me. You know, I can kind of do my best to navigate and give people, um, obviously give them some good stuff, but not give them too much, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I will say, so, if you do you want to kind of retrack on that and kind of explain a little bit more in detail where I was when the inspiration for the book kind of happened?
Yeah, I think it'd be valuable because I think if we go into some stuff like that, it's not going to give out too much. And of
Hmm.
course, we can always edit this and cut this or whatever to
Yeah, yeah.
respect it. But I just think this is going to be a good way for people to really get intrigued and interested within the story to get them to want to get the book.
Okay, cool. So I'll just start off with this. The inspiration for the book, Why Me, was born in LA County Jail. So I was living in California, and I was going through a very difficult time of my life. I was falsely accused for crimes that I did not commit, and through a series of actions, or post, being accused, you have to turn yourself in, then you get out with pretrial restrictions, and my pretrial restrictions were no alcohol. So I had a scram monitor on my ankle for a very, very long time. And they allowed me to move out to California for work. And so while I was out in California, I had, after about 8 months of wearing this scram monitor, I had a false positive on the scram monitor. So it read that I drank alcohol, even though I did not. And so when this happened, uh, a warrant for my arrest was issued in Florida while I was still living in California. Um, at the time, a lot of fear crept into my life, a lot of worry. I was also not in a very good state at this point in my life. So I was letting all of the things that were outside of my control kind of dictate the way that I felt. And it led me into a very, very dark place. Just a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, a lot of resistance to my present moment. And um, eventually, though, things kind of subsided and we didn't really know if they were going to come get me, if they weren't. Months kind of passed and nothing had happened. So we kind of got this false sense of like, okay, maybe I'm safe out in California. And things in my case weren't developing at a very fast speed. At this point, we're probably about a year and a half into when everything started. And to give some context to the listeners, I was on the executive board of my fraternity, and one of our pledges passed away from drinking too much, tragically, at a party. And so they did an investigation. they didn't find any evidence of hazing, but they did have to put the responsibility on someone. So they put the responsibility on us as the leaders of the fraternity, since we created an environment where underage drinking was happening, um, and I guess the possibility of what happened. So that's where they kind of put the blame. So we got charged for third degree felony for hazing, got kicked out of school. And so I was fighting that case. Me and four others decided to fight for our innocence, whereas half the other kids, pleaded guilty. And so throughout this whole process, now we fast forward to kind of a year and a half, and I'm out in California just trying to move forward with my life. But I moved out there and things didn't go to plan, as you probably know from reading the book. It was a very shaky start, which I thought was going to be almost a new beginning for me. And but eventually things in the case just transpired that, like, it was just not taking it was taking way longer than it was anticipated. When everything originally happened, I was told that this might last like a year tops if we played the long game. That's what I was being told. And so now we're in territory of way past a year. I'm just trying to move on with my life, but I'm letting things that are completely outside of my control really get to me, and it put me in a low spot for a while. Eventually, I hit a breaking point, and I kind of just crashed out, as I guess if people would say nowadays, or I just broke. And um, but it was beautiful because I cried my eyes out for about 2 hours, which I think was necessary because I'd been holding stuff in for so long. But I came out of that a lot with a lot more clarity, almost in a sense, because I kind of released what needed to be released. And when I came out of that, I kind of started to realize that, like, I was letting all the things outside of my control me, and I wasn't focusing on the things that I could control, which are so few in comparison to the things that we can't control. And so that little shift kind of just almost gave me some type of like rebirth, and it allowed me to kind of open up to my situation. I just woke up one day and was like, hey, I don't know how much longer this case is going to go on for. And, you know, but I just can't keep living like this anymore. I was depressed. I was unmotivated. And I just was at a point where I just got sick of like feeling sorry for myself in a sense. So I made a decision. I made a choice one morning that I was going to be happy no matter what was going on outside of my life. Because at the end of the day, like, we're alive still, so we get to choose whether we see the glass half full or the glass half empty. Um, and once I made this shift, like, everything in me changed, and almost everything around me almost got worse too. So, like, the events that were happening, like, things just kept getting more difficult, but internally I was like at such peace because I just surrendered to my present moment. Um and one of the things that got worse is they a year later, after the warrant got issued for my arrest in Florida, after living out in California an entire year, you kind of get the sense that you're safe. But little did I know, it just takes a very long time for stuff like that to get acted on. And so I was leaving work one day in the beginning of 2020 in January down in Los Angeles, and um, I had like four U.S. Marshals come out of nowhere and kind of like box me in when I got to my car, and they took me in. I ended up in L.A. County Jail, and with no idea how long that I was going to be in there. And so when there was a part when I was sitting in the holding cell, like kind of waiting to get admitted into LA County Jail, where because of what I had just gone through and kind of like the, awakening or rebirth, I kind of just had the awareness to tell myself, like, listen, man, like, you have absolutely no control over the situation anymore. Like, you're in jail. At, like, where you go, when you sleep, when you eat, like, all of that stuff is now in the hands of other people. So you have no control. You're not getting out of here anytime soon. So let's just make the most of this experience. And that's what I told myself. I said, you can either resist your present moment, which is being in jail, and suffer through this time, or you can just accept that you're here and you can just try to learn and make the most of this experience. And it was that moment that was probably one of the most pivotal moments in my entire life when I look back, because what it allowed me to do is it allowed me to open up my heart to the present moment and to the situation. Even though LA County Jail is one of the most feared jail systems in the entire United States of America, because LA is the gang capital of the world. So I still really made the effort to just be like, dude, just stay open minded, stay open hearted, and just try to make the most of this situation. And it was huge because when I went in there, I carried an energy that was highly attractive, is what I find out. Because all I wanted to do, I told myself, hey, man, this is probably the most time that you'll ever have to yourself in your entire life. So let's just use it to get better. And but I didn't have any intentions of like talking to people. I was going to keep my head down. I was just going to do me. I was going to create a schedule. And it's crazy what happens when you carry an energy like that, though, going into a place that's at a very, very low vibrational frequency. I attracted so many people to me throughout my time there. And in a non-judgmental way, I like, these people were not the friendliest looking people in the world. I mean, they were pretty scary looking people on the outside, but I always just came back to staying open. And so whenever I was doing anything, whether it was, writing or working out or reading or whatever it was, I always told myself, like, just stay open, stay open. And so when anyone ever wanted to come up and talk to me and chat with me, like, I didn't brush them off. I just stopped whatever I was doing and just took it as a sign to, like, hey, maybe this is time to like take a little break from whatever I'm doing and welcome an opportunity into my life. And what I found, going back to what I said earlier about misery loves company, is that these people just wanted to talk. Like, they like, whatever their life is on the outside, it is on the outside. But at the end of the day, like, they just want to be listened to and they want to be heard. So I think giving them, I didn't really even say much. I just let them lead the conversation and see where it took. And the result of that was pretty incredible, because what I found is that these people's stories were just mind blowing to me. Um, I got introduced to worlds that I probably never would have even known existed if it wasn't for this whole situation. And it changed my perspectives completely on all of this, on a lot of things, because what I realized is that, like, these people just throughout hearing their stories, whatever I was going through, like you said earlier, paled in comparison to what these people went through and are still going through. So, it was nice for me to be like, okay, man, I know you're in a pretty crazy situation for like what you've gone through in life and what you've been accustomed to growing up. This is wild. Everybody that knows you, this is like the craziest thing that they've ever heard happen to someone. But for these people and their stories, I was like, holy smokes, I am so blessed. Because and so But what I realized, I listened to a lot of stories, and a lot of these people opened up to me, and I found a common theme in a lot of the stories, that kind of helped me answer the question: why am I sitting in jail, gaining so much, learning so much, and growing so much, while all of these people are kind of suffering, like really badly suffering? and not trying to learn from the situation, completely closed off, angry, frustrated, blaming, a lot of victim mindset. And what I found through their stories is that they just lacked a huge amount of love in their life from a very young age. And one of the things that I kind of discovered before going into this situation was to truly love myself. And it was making such a difference in my internal state. Um, and it's very difficult to you get like a sense of like from the outside, you're like, oh, you're homeless. You probably made a lot of bad decisions in your life that kind of led you to being homeless. And I used to think that growing up. Or you got hooked on drugs and all these things, and you just like really are judgmental towards those people because of decisions they made. But what I found from a lot of the stories is that their dad was in jail their entire life and their mom was a heroin addict growing up. And it's like, you know 2 to 5 is such a crucial time in a child's life just because of just development in their brain. And if there is a lack of love in that time period, some of the times we can't see that in the human until they're 18, 19, 20 years old, and you're like, why is this person the way they are? Well, let's take a look at how their upbringing was from 2 to 5. And and so when I kind of realized that, that was a big one for me to that helped me kind of understand, like, man, it's these people make poor decisions because they don't know any better, because they grew up without anyone to kind of let them know, like, hey, when tough things happen in life, you know you can actually use this even if they're unfair, because most of them are unfair. A lot of challenging things happen to a lot of people, and you try and sit around and ask, like, why me, or why is, like, how this doesn't nothing's adding up. But sometimes people just, and those things happen, but they just don't understand, or a lot of people don't understand that you can use adversity as a huge tool to help you grow as a human being. And I was kind of realizing that from listening to these stories. And so when they were done telling their stories, it gave me the opportunity, because I listened to them first, and I just listened, without trying to interject or respond or anything like that. I just really wanted to understand where they were coming from. They were very open to me telling my story, and I told them my story. I told them, um, what I was gaining from everything that I was going through, a lot of unfair, really tough times. Some of them were from external sources, and some things were mistakes that I made along the way as well. But I was just able to provide different perspectives to these people about the stuff that they were going through. And what happened as a result of that was really, really amazing. When my time was up to leave LA County, I was saying my goodbyes to people. I was there for 62 days total. Um, and towards the end, I had 5 grown men come up to me at the end and just give me the biggest hugs ever and thank me for everything that they did for them, even though it was completely unintentional. But they told me that they wanted to change their lives when they got out of here. And some of them even told me their plans to do so. They're already thinking in their hand, like, hey, this is how I'm going to get my life back in order. And for me, it was the most fulfilling thing that I have ever felt in my entire life. Um, and it all just came from a stance of just telling my story. And so it was in that moment where I felt very called, like, from God, from the universe. It wasn't a matter of like, should I tell my story? It's like, you need to tell your story, because if you told your story to these people in here, um, and you got that type of response from it, then you're almost be doing the universe a disservice by not sharing this with other people, because there's so many people out there that are going through really, really tough times. And I feel like I have figured out how to really get to a level of peace and joy. Bless you.
Thank you.
Peace, joy, and happiness no matter what is going on in my external world, whether the finances are tight, whether things are just not going, your way or the way you think they should be going or to plan. Like I have really gotten really, really good at just truly not just faking it till you make it, but truly being happy with whatever the present moment has provided and just not suffering. I think that's like the biggest thing. Like I want to help people that are going through difficult times that don't know what to do or how to maybe use it to help them, like alleviate the suffering first, because pain can be inevitable. Suffering is a choice, but not many people know that. And so my inspiration came from those five men telling me that I had helped them so much from telling their book. So I was like, wow, I think I really need to write this book and tell my story so that I can get this book into the hands of people that were in my uh, same seat, maybe in jail. They don't have parents that love them. They don't have anyone really outside of jail that cares for them or loves them to kind of help them navigate these times. I want to put something in their hands that they can read, that they can somewhat relate to and be like, there's still hope. There's still a way. I can turn whatever has happened in the past around and kind of get out of this, but I can also learn to maybe enjoy the process as well. So that was a pretty long-winded response, but yeah.
Do you find that you had mentioned that these men that you had met in jail, they were had like maybe a bad mindset or a very bad focus, and they were suffering a lot, and they were literally in jail. Now, do you see and do you find, because I see a lot of people that aren't in jail, but they're living in mental jails because it seems like among the same thing. What are your thoughts on that, and how do you think these people can get out of living in these mental jails?
Yeah, I agree completely with you on that. And like just because you're not physically in jail, you could definitely be in a mental jail. And it's a very simple thing, I believe, but not easy to necessarily apply in your life, but really discerning. Well, becoming aware of your thoughts and emotions is a big step, because when we can step back and understand that we are not our thoughts and emotions, that's huge, because our mind is going to run, you know, wild all day or something. A lot of thoughts are going to come through and pass through. Being able to step back and know, like, hey, I don't have to listen to that thought. That's just a thought. It's not who I am. I'm not stupid. I'm not in a rush. I'm not all these things. Because a lot of people, a lot of these things come in, this self talk within their brain, and they listen to it. And that's the bad thing, because then you go into that story and then a story is created that's not even real. And so, first, become aware of your thoughts and emotions. And then, when you can become aware of your thoughts and emotions, you can actually take a step back from them and observe your thoughts and emotions and choose which ones you want to follow and which ones you want to throw away. And that level of awareness will allow you to understand the simple concept of what is in your control and what is not. It is one of the most, to me, it's one of the most liberating things, because whenever I am faced with situations that maybe elicit emotion, like my emotions get high, right? Because we're human. To try and fight your emotions is just a losing battle, because you're going to feel what you're going to feel. But that's when the level of awareness comes into play, because you can take step back and be like, okay, I'm very frustrated right now. Why am I frustrated? But if you're not aware of that, you're going to get frustrated and you're just going to go down this story of frustration and this and that. And it's just going to be a snowball effect in the wrong direction. But if you can have that level of awareness where you're like, man, I'm pretty frustrated right now. I'm angry. This is annoying me. And instead of just following it, you can take a step back and ask the question, why am I feeling this way? You can typically get to the point of like, okay, well, is what is causing me this frustration or stress or anxiety, is it in my control? And if it's not, you gotta let it go. You gotta just stop worrying about it. And it sounds almost too simple to where it's like, what do you mean? But like, I would just say try it, because being able to let go of all the things that are outside of your control just opens up so much mental energy and clarity to just focus on the things that you can control that could possibly help whatever is causing the negative emotion.
Mm.
So for this person that feels like they're in a mental jail, I would first say, A, become aware of your thoughts and emotions. And then once you can feel like you're kind of the observer of your thoughts and emotions, you're not, then you can start to discern the things that are in your control and that are not in your control. And I think it set me free.
Really amazing answer. You had mentioned that, and I'm just curious on this. There was four others that fought against like did the same thing you did, and then the others pleaded guilty. Did any of these other guys like have you talked to them? Did they have similar experiences than you? Do they feel compelled to share their stories as well, or are you kind of like the anomaly out of the group?
So that's a great question. And during the case, we were legally not allowed to talk to each other. So
Wow.
they didn't want us, they didn't want us, which is very difficult. A lot of those guys that I served on the executive board, like we're in charge of running a 120 person fraternity. Like you get close. They say like being on exec is like you never, like you enjoy it, but you never want to do it again. Like once your term's done, like you're like, that was awesome. Never want to do that again. Um, but so you get close to those guys, and so that was a little bit tough not being able to like talk to the only people that know what you're going through. Like that was one of the things that was crazy. Like when I was going through it, it was very difficult to talk to people about this, because it's like no one I knew was even close to going through something that like that. So it was hard for people to kind of relate to me and stuff. But um as far as my story versus everybody else's, I think the reason that mine got a little wild is because I made a huge mistake in the beginning of my pretrial restrictions, and um I did mess up and I did break them and I did get caught. And that was a very, very, very difficult time for me because A, I was just clouded. My decision making was clearly clouded by a lot of sadness, a lot of fear of missing out, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration for being accused of what I was being accused of. I mean, someone else's life, like saying that you're accused of someone's life ending is very heavy, especially when it's absolutely not the case. So there's a lot
Especially
of
when it
anger
ends
and
with you saying you're a menace to society too.
right, yeah, and so it definitely hits hard. And so I made a really, really bad decision when I was young. I'm 30 now. And so it's like I look back at like 21-year-old me and I'm like, wow, that is exactly what I would have done at 21. But it definitely has molded my decision making now. But I did break my pretrial
Yeah.
restrictions, and that led to me wearing the scram monitor. And then the scram monitor is what gave me a lot of, without going into too much detail, it gave me a lot of issues throughout that time wearing it. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you guys want to know what he's talking about, you have to read the book. But essentially, there's an array of events that happened that ended up, Clay made mistakes. He made mistakes, and he owns them. Um, After the experience that was really not his fault had happened, then he made some mistakes that put him in deeper holes, which I think there's a lot you can learn from that. There's a lot about extreme ownership, and there's just so much you can learn there. But you have to read the book to understand what exactly he's talking about. Um, I also was curious. Um, I'll get into this question after, but what did walking around with that scram monitor teach you? Because let me phrase this a little bit better.
Okay.
You're walking around with an ankle monitor. You probably have people looking at you and judging you right away, like, "Oh my God, what did this guy do? Don't look at him, sweetie. He's a criminal. What? Maybe he beat his wife or something, right? Like, human beings, we can't help ourselves. Like, if I saw someone with an ankle monitor, my brain's gonna start firing like the what ifs. What did this person do? So you're getting judged all day long, being out in
Yeah.
public. Like, what did this do to you and your like humility?
Yeah, it's cool because I've never been asked that question, but I think it is a really awesome question because you really just learn not to care what other people think, because at a certain point in the beginning, of course, I'm human. I'm just like, I'm at the gym. I see people staring. I'm, putting a long sock over it, but it doesn't matter because that thing's huge.
Yeah.
Like,
Someone's
there's
stupid
no,
at people. Ah! Scare 'em.
yeah, there's no hiding this thing, unless you wear like pants. That's pretty much the only way. And so yeah, I would catch kids just like look, like pointing at me, laughing, stuff like that. And I'd see people all the time getting. And in the beginning, it kind of bothered me a little bit, and I was like, "Wow, man, this stinks." Like, like, well, I wonder what they're thinking about me. I wonder what they're saying about me. And then it just gets to the point where if you have it on for long enough, or you just like don't want to deal with the mental baggage that comes with worrying about what other people are thinking, I just told myself, listen, they have no idea who I am as a person. And if they did have the chance to meet me and get to know me and gave me the opportunity, then they'd probably think differently. And during this whole process, actually, too, I really got okay with really only worrying about what the people that I hold dear to my heart thought, And even then, you get to a point where it's like, unless I look up to you or I admire you or I want to be like you in some shape or form, I really don't care what your opinion is of me because what does it matter? It's like, are you going to take advice from the person that, doesn't have any of the things that you are kind of wanting in life? Or are you going to worry about the opinions of others that like aren't doing what you're trying to do? It just the math doesn't add up. So I think a lot of clarity came from having to wear that ankle monitor and has carried with me because it helps me a lot today with like with everything that I'm trying to do and accomplish. It's not in alignment with a lot of the people that are close to me, if you will, and that's totally okay. But it's been very liberating for me to just be like, hey, they're on a different path. They're on their own path. I'm on my own path. And nobody's life is equal. Everybody is doing things differently. So it's like playing the comparison game is just a losing battle because it's like you're at a different point in your life. You've gone through different things than they have. They've gone through things too, probably. And they're doing stuff. It's just nothing adds up. So if it doesn't add up, then don't compare it,
Mm.
essentially.
Have you ever felt like when you were in LA County or any other jail, did you feel like scared or scared for your life or worried or put in any of those situations? You talked about these guys being very kind to you and very curious about you because you were probably different than everybody else in there. But did you ever have any like scared straight moments?
So I never had any moments where like I feared for my life, I'd say. However, there was many times where I was definitely scared. And I think anyone that goes into a system like LA County would be lying if they said that they weren't a little bit scared. Like through some of my conversations with, you know, people that go in there pretty often. I mean, it's a known thing that like not even, your seasoned convicts like going into LA County jail. It's just not a fun place to be. And because my charge you know, had a dead body associated with it, my rank was pretty high. So I got housed with people of equal or more charges. So I was surrounded by a lot of people that attempted murder or have murdered people before. So just knowing that it's a little scary for sure. But I think it really attests to like at the end of the day, we're all human, no matter what these people have done or no matter what we've done. Um, to like be able to see through everything that people have done and just try and look directly into their heart and not judge. And there is a very powerful energy that comes with that, which is what I found. I was just like, I'm not looking at
Yeah.
color. I'm not looking at tattoos all over your face. I'm not looking at how big your muscles are, and you might be able to rip me in half if you wanted with your bare hands. But I'm just gonna look at you like the true human being that you are. You have a beating heart, and so if you have a beating heart, I know deep, deep, deep down that there's good in you. I know there is. Like I really, really felt that, and being able to look and interact with these people. So like I essentially, of course, like there's a little bit of fear involved, but then you like overcome that fear with just remembering that they're human too, and just to not act so scared. Like if you act scared around them, they're gonna feel judged because like what do you why are you so scared? Just like looking at me kind of thing. So then it comes, don't do too much. Don't try too hard. Like I wasn't in there trying to make friends with everyone or like fit in. I just went in there trying to work on myself. And in return, it just it's more of like an abundant type energy than just like I need to find someone for me to feel safe or something. Like I was safe. I felt safe with myself.
That's a
And
good
I think they
lesson
feel
for.
that. Go ahead.
I was gonna say that's a good lesson for life in general, where I've seen with working in companies and sports teams and organizations where the most attractive people are the ones that are just going in there and focusing on themselves, trying to be a good member of the group, trying to just get the job done. Where the people that are like trying to be cool, trying to like prove to other people who they are. It's like those people come off as cancers and they're annoying. But it's just like just get in there, get the job done, do what you got to do, focus on yourself, and just move forward.
Yeah,
So I
a
like
hundred
that. I
percent.
like
And
it.
yeah, and it takes a lot of the pressure off of you, right? If you think about it just from a logical standpoint, like worrying about impressing 10 people is a lot more effort than worrying about just impressing yourself for yourself. It's a lot easier to just focus on yourself than 10 other people, right? Um
100%.
but and one thing that I really found through this whole experience really led me down like a massive personal development journey. It was like the kickstart to it, if you will. And one thing that I came to during this period of my life was just really just focusing on trying to be the best version of myself. Because when I was doing the things on a day to day basis that I felt like were in alignment with the best version of myself, I was the happiest. I was at peace. And um, it really begged a question from me where I was like, man, imagine it's kind of like a paradox because it's like imagine if the world everybody woke up every single day and just focused on being the best version of themselves. Like what kind of world would be we living in? It'd be an incredible world. And in a sense at first glance you're like that seems kind of selfish, like all you're doing is focusing on yourself. But if you don't fill your cup, you have zero water to give to anybody else. And so I'm a big proponent of filling your cup first, being the best version of yourself, and everything, it's like a foundation. Everything will kind of domino effect or ripple effect off of you just taking care of yourself first. And then it's just so much easier too, every single day to just get up and be like, hey, my responsibility is me. And that's it.
Yeah. Boom. Clay, if you could, um, Summarize your book for us in like a short, for the readers. Summarize it in a short way. Like, what can they expect by reading this? What are they going to learn? And how can it apply to someone's life who isn't about to check into LA County?
Yeah, absolutely. So the book is definitely a roller coaster ride. So you'll see that as you read. So there's a level of entertainment to just reading the book and hearing the story. I think if I just told the story straight up as the events unfolded, there you would be entertained. Because some of the stuff is crazy, some of the stuff super unexpected. But I think where the real value lies is everything that I learned from it. So I learned so much from everything that I went through, and so I think that of course the inspiration was for someone in maybe in jail who has no one, but I think there's so much value to be had outside of just that maybe demographic because we all go through really difficult things in life. I call them the inevitables in the book. The three inevitables that we will all go through in life is adversity, tragedy, and mistakes. So those things are going to pop up in our lives at various times. Some people it happens really early in life. Some people it happens later in life. But at some point, you're going to make mistakes. There's going to be tragedy, and there's going to be adversity that hits your life. And I feel like I give the tools to really help you navigate those times in a way that you will utilize the things that bring you the most pain can actually withhold like the biggest treasure in lessons and growth. But if you're not open to the things that are bringing you pain, you're gonna miss all these beautiful opportunities for growth and to learn. So I think it could help anyone, you know, whether you're going through some stuff at work, relationships that are whatever the adversity is. I think it helps hit kind of anything that's kind of causing you to maybe be a little down, or maybe you're um, depressed or have anxiety, or just you're just feeling really low because of things that are happening in your life. And I think that, you know, you can kind of turn the why is this happening to me to a why is this happening for me. And when you can kind of make that switch, it just opens up endless opportunities for you guys to learn and grow and become better. And then you one day you look back and all those things that were causing you so much pain, you actually have an immense amount of gratitude towards because they helped shape who you are and who you're becoming.
Yeah. You're getting so good at explaining just the way you think in these processes. So it's just really cool to see and definitely tell you've been practicing and talking about a lot. So it's just so beautiful to see how elegantly you explain these things now. And you've really like encapsulated your mind around these hard times that you went through and the lessons that you learned. And what I really love is I see it with you. You're still practicing what you learned throughout this now in your life, and it's helping you live an easier life, it just seems. So I totally agree with you. It's like, why is this happening for me? And I think one of the most noble things we can do as a human being is when we do go through something challenging or good, we share this with other people so we can provide value. I believe this is why God puts us through challenging things, is so we can provide an opportunity for other people to suffer less. So I just
Thank
thank
you.
you for, yeah, no, thank you for just explaining this so elegantly. Um, I wanted to transition, if we could, to something a little bit lighter, and I want to transition it like this. So you
Yeah.
went from in your early 20s to sitting in LA County jail with no idea like where your life was going to be. And a couple weeks ago, we just got back from one of the most beautiful places on earth. You and your beautiful fiance came with us to the Know Thyself Summit in Thailand. So it was your first Dream State retreat. So I just wanted to hear about your experience at the retreat and how was it for you?
Oh man. Yeah. So, okay. First off, thank you for those kind words. just a couple minutes before, I do have to give so much credit to you as well. For those that don't know, I've been working with Ethan for about a year now, and I could easily say that 2025 was the most transformative year of my life. I would say during this time period of when I wrote the book, that was the first massive transformation in my life that I made internally. But this year definitely topped it. So huge thank you to Ethan. And then also thank you to Ethan for putting on such an amazing retreat, and Marshall, of course. You guys absolutely crushed it. And it was one of the best trips of my life. It could be the best. I don't know. I've taken some pretty cool trips, but it definitely could be up there. And I think just starting off with the title Know Thyself Summit really is a good place to start, because I think really, really getting to know and learn yourself is just so important to overall happiness, and just really just contentment with life. Like, the better you know yourself, the more in line your actions will be with you, which is just going to make you happier. Nobody knows yourself better than you. So get to know yourself really well. And it gets really easy to say no to stuff when you know yourself really well, and when you care for you, and when you take that level of care to work on yourself, and like really get to know yourself, you just like your respect level for yourself kind of really, really raises. And so you are very intentional with like everything that you do. But since you know yourself so well, you do things that you love to do, which just make you so much happier, regardless of what anybody else thinks. And this trip came at a really, really cool time for me, because I, in November, turned 30. So I said goodbye to my 20s. And it was a great 2 week period of just really fun activities that we were doing, excursions, if you want to call them. We were doing workshops as well. So it was the first trip that I had ever taken where there was like a level of fun to it, but also a level of personal development and growth, which was really, really, it's really cool. It's really recharging too. I came back from that trip ready to freaking rock. Like, my publisher is probably like, Clay, chill. It's Christmas time with all the emails that I'm sending her, because I'm just ready to go and just take massive action. Because what it allowed me to do is allowed me to get really clear on how I want to live my life, what I want it to look like, what I want to be doing, who I want in my life. And it was like almost like a rebirth of you know, like letting go of everything that doesn't serve me anymore. Not in a regretful way, but there's things in my 20s that I don't regret doing, but I did them, and there was a lot of fun, and they was awesome. I have some really amazing experiences in my 20s, but those things aren't going to serve me moving forward with who I want to be and what I want to do, and the man that I want to, and the father I want to be in the future. And so it was almost like a rebirth type of like vacation for me, where I got clear on what I want to do, who I want to become, who I am becoming, and the things that I used to do that no longer serve me, that I was able to just really, like, in a beautiful way, just say goodbye with no regret or no like negative energy. I just said, hey, I'm leaving you guys in my 20s, and now into the 30s. I know exactly what I want to do, who I want to be. And I mean, it was awesome. It was so good. So I really, really appreciate you.
Man, that's incredible. Now, anyone who'd want to come to a future Dream State retreat, like in a few sentences, what would you say to them?
Don't think twice. Just do it, because yeah, that I mean, I think everybody should experience something like that. Like that was such a, and it's cool because I was actually talking with my buddy this morning. We went for a run, and he's on a pretty similar wavelength with me right now. And we were just talking about the other day about, he was like, dude, like, how cool would it be if we just went to these really cool places around the world and we tried out new gyms and we like just explored the city and we did all this like good stuff for us, and like, but we're in a new city doing new things, seeing new things, but like we're staying active and we're just doing all these great things for each other. And I was like, the whole time he's explaining this, I'm just like, dude, I just did that. I literally just did that in Thailand. Like, one of the coolest things that I found is that I picked up good habits on that trip that I took back home with me, which is so cool to think of on like a vacation. Usually you're getting out of your routine. Usually you're maxing out to the, trying to make the most of all your minutes there. There's no rest. You're just go, go, go. Usually, and I'm not saying this is wrong, but usually there's drinking involved, and that's a little bit of a drainer. And then you come back from that vacation and you're like, dude, I'm drained. Like, I got to go back to work now. And it was so cool because I kept my routine. We worked out pretty much every day. We pushed our bodies to the limits some days in the workouts. My VO2 max went up 2 points after my vacation.
Let's
So
go.
it's
Putting that
just
on the
like,
website.
yeah, dude. I mean, I guess this is what I would say. If you're into personal development, if you're trying to grow as an individual, if that stuff fires you up, then like you're absolutely missing out if you're not going on one of these.
Let's go. Describe to me the cycle ride for you. That was a really cool experience to do with you, and I just want to know, like, how was it for you doing that? You pushed yourself through the limits. It was really cool to see. I know you were struggling. We were all struggling on it,
Yeah.
and it's one of the things that I love to do on these retreats is I love to suffer with friends.
Mhm.
I just love putting myself in uncomfortable situations. It's funny, you and Marshall had asked me, like, why would you put yourself through that again? And to me, like, in a sick sadistic way, I love it. And I love doing it with friends and with people. So I want to hear your experience of the cycle ride.
Yeah. So just to give a little backstory for anyone that did listen to the first podcast that we did a little bit of a deeper dive on my journey of hope experience where I attempted to bike across the country for people with disabilities. And that experience was massive. Um, Without that experience, I don't know if I would have been able to finish, because I do think a certain fitness level is required to even attempt what we attempted to do. There's only so because like the biking, there's a level of skill to the bike, like gear switching and stuff like that, and doing it at the right times that plays a big role in like even be able to manage pushing yourself to that limit. But we did 82 miles up about 7,000 feet of elevation, and I think we biked for about 6.5 on the actual bike, and the whole day was 8.5 hours. So absolutely grueling day. What made it so difficult though is I believe there's like 762 switchbacks, which if you're going up a very steep hill, a switchback is a very sharp turn to get yourself to be able to basically build a road up these types of mountains. It's the only way you can do it. But what it does is it kills your momentum. Every time that you're already going up at a pretty high grade, but if you have to turn and switch and completely change your direction, you crush any type of momentum that you had. So that makes it extremely difficult to do. That being said, my training for this was little to none going into this. So my
Yeah, me
training
too.
consisted of getting my bike the cobwebs dusted off of it and getting it tuned up again. And then I think I went on like 4 or 5 rides with my buddy here local in St. Pete, Florida, where the elevation is like maybe below sea level. So, and my longest ride was 30 miles before this. So it was just completely mental, I would say. But it's so cool
Mm.
to just do stuff where you actually have to push yourself to limits way past when you think that you're ready to give up. Um, I was actually talking about this on my run with my buddy this morning because I train consistently. I'd say 5 to 6 days a week, and my training sessions are difficult, but I also design them to a point where like I am making progress, sustainable progress over time. So I'm not necessarily going into the gym or going on a run and killing myself every single workout. I found what works best for me is to kind of progress at a very small rate, but I'm always progressing. That just keeps me consistent doing it. But when you do stuff like this, like what we did in Thailand, like I would say halfway through the ride, probably at like 40 miles in, I was just like my brain started to turn on the quit mode. So when you're pushing yourself past that mode for I don't know, another 4 hours or another 40 miles, I mean, man, it really depends on what your self-talk is like. That's what I found. My positive self-talk, even though it seems so pointless in the moment, it meant everything because when I let the self-talk go and I let the negative creep in, the ride got so much more difficult. And that's just gonna happen on a ride like that. Like you're not perfect. We're not perfect human beings. Like we're gonna get the negative thoughts in. I was literally cursing out loud at some points and just asking myself, why in the world did you do this, dude? Like why did you put yourself through this? Why are you doing
Book me a
this?
vacation.
Yeah, you're on vacation, like, but it's just the nature of just like consistently doing hard stuff just prepares you for so many different areas of your life of what I found. Like I went for a 7 mile run this morning and I've never ran 7 miles before. But guess what I was thinking of every time I was just like, dude, you just kept pedaling. You just put one pedal in front of the next and one pedal in front of the next for hours. And you were feeling way worse than what you were feeling like, dude, this is nothing. And so that's why it's like like for me it's so important to just constantly do stuff like that, and why I like to do it is because it's like a push yourself past like mental barriers like on a consistent basis, and just like life, the difficult things that come up in life on your day to day are not difficult anymore because you freaking biked a mountain in Thailand for 8 hours. Like this little thing that comes up is so tiny in comparison to that. Also too, I'm not like out of breath. I'm not like cramping everywhere. My body's not aching. It's okay. And then you do other things like that, like a 7 mile run, which for me is an all time high. And I did it like a breeze this morning. And so but it's cool because I'm like thinking while I'm on this run, I'm like, dude, yeah, your legs are getting a little heavy, but if you really needed to, you could probably do this for like another 6 hours, maybe even more. Like our bodies are just incredible things that are held back by our minds, really. Like our bodies as a vessel are capable of just some of the most incredible things. And really what holds us back the whole time is just our self-limiting beliefs or our minds, really. Which is so if you can train the mind aspect while doing something super, super difficult, it just helps you as a person in like so many different areas of life outside of the physical.
You hit on so many points there of like exactly why I like to do this type of shit. So
Yeah.
thank you, and why I bring it to the retreats, because sometimes it's pretty rare to see like a retreat, whether it's a men's retreat or something, or a group retreat to go visit somewhere where you're doing something this extraneous. And to me, it's like I'm taking on liability as well because it's extremely dangerous. It's like crazy, but I'm just like, I know that this is going to be something that's going to stick with the people that do it for the rest of their life. And it's just cool for you to get that out of it. And also, when people do this that don't finish it, they realize like, okay, I got some kinks in my life. Like, no failure, only feedback. But like, what's the
Mm.
feedback from this? Like whether that's a physical thing that I gotta work on, or maybe it's a mind thing, which usually it comes down to the mind. It's like, okay, I have some areas, I have some limitations, I have a governor on my mind right now. Like, this is a way that I need to work on that. What can I do? Okay, do more hard things. Now, we'll pivot. Another, I guess, hard thing that we did was we lived with monks, where this could be easier for some people. Um, I had, I remember Marshall said that was a lot harder than he expected it to be. I'm curious, what was your experience of living with the monks?
Yeah, so such a cool experience, and I took away so much from that. And to their point, it was pretty challenging in the first, I'd say, first 24 hours. I During the meditations, I found my mind wandering a lot to all the responsibilities that I had back home waiting for me, because at this point I'd been away from home for almost 2 weeks. And so you get to this beautiful monastery in the middle of the deep into the Thai mountains, just so far away from all civilization. And it really provides a space for lots of clarity and a lot of just like all you have is your thoughts really in this place. So, which is a beautiful thing, but it also could be a challenging thing, because then it just allows you the time and the space to just think about all the things that you have to do when you're going to get back home. And there was a big turning point, though, in one of the walking meditations that we were doing, that I just realized. I was like, it just all comes back to the present moment, you know? I really believe that if we can maximize our present moment, we can maximize our life in general. You know, if you really think of it, like, I just realized that all these things that are taking them away from this beautiful walk right now are things that, even if I wanted to take care of them right then and there, I couldn't, because they're halfway across the world. So it really just let me like let go of all those things, come back to the present moment. And when I came back to the present moment and was fully there in the monastery, I just started getting flooded with all these beautiful like messages. I was learning so much. I mean, I remember I sat down one morning just to take notes of everything that I was learning from this trip and the monastery, and 6 pages just went like that. I was like, whoa. I was like, whoa, all this stuff's been living in my head. This is so cool. And but a few of the things that I took from the monastery, and the biggest one that I would love to just share with everybody that I could possibly share it with, is just to slow down, man. We move so fast. We're always in a rush. We always need to be somewhere. And like, it's funny that I picked that up, because it was one thing that I was really trying to focus on before we went to Thailand, was like, you should never be in a rush. Like, don't be in a rush ever. It's okay. You're gonna get to where you're gonna go. If you do the proper preparation and planning, and you leave a little bit of time for the unknown circumstances to pop up and happen, you'll get to where you're gonna be at the right time, at the right moment. And so slowing down was a big one that I took from there. And then also just the sacrifice and discipline that it takes to, whether you want to be a monk and dedicate your life to that, it takes a level of sacrifice and discipline. Whether you want to, like, whatever your dreams are, whatever your desires are, whatever, you're trying to go after, like, there has to be a level of sacrifice and discipline involved in it in order for you to, I guess, achieve it, or get the most out of it. Um, and then also, everything is temporary, or the impermanence of life. And don't get attached. Don't get attached to the emotions that you're feeling. You could feel the emotions, but just observe them. Um, and it was so funny that, like, that was like one of their biggest themes, I felt, was like detachment. Just don't be attached to anything material. Um, and I take all these incredible notes from this trip at the monastery. and we leave the monastery and we're in Chiang Mai our last night. I wake up the next morning to do my journaling exercises and realize that I forgot my journal at the monastery. All of those notes, everything, man. And I was just like, at first, I was like in panic mode because I was like, oh,
I
those were so
remember.
good. Yeah, they were so good. Like, I took such great notes. Like, I was like, I need to email them. I need to get it back. Like, like thinking like all this stuff. I'm like, just thinking about ways that I could get it back. And then it just was like, I think Sam like told me, she was like, don't be attached to the journal. And I was like, wow, you're so true. And also something that you told me that really helped me let go of the journal was just like your experience in the monastery, where you were carrying your first experience at the monastery years ago, when you were carrying a journal everywhere trying to take notes on everything someone said, and one of the monks was like, do you really think you're that stupid that you're not going to remember what we're talking about? And it really helped me a lot, because I was like, you know what's meant for me will stick with me. And I think the reason that I wanted to write everything out and get it out of my head, just the practice of doing that really allowed me to just internalize everything that I did have. Because as I sat with it over these last few weeks, like, I could probably write 5 to 6 pages worth of notes still, what I gained from the trip. And so it was a really good test, right off the rip, of just not being attached to things, and just really having faith that like what is meant for you will come to you.
Yeah. Clay, I really wanted to do this in person with you in Thailand, but I feel like there was a reason we did it today because I don't know. I felt like this our last conversation. I feel like this whenever we talk. It's just so easy to speak with you, and it's so nice to jam on these things with you because you just have a beautiful perspective on a lot of things that I love, and I think it's why we connect so well. And I know you and I have some plans of some really cool things for the listeners that we're going to be announcing here pretty soon. So you guys can stay tuned with that and how you'll get to, work with Clay and work with myself more on some of these cool things that we're going to be putting together. So I wanted to finish off with this. If you could, how can the listeners uh, get the book? Like, is it whyme.com? How can they get the pre-copy? And then, yeah, just talk on that. How can they connect with you, and any other thing that you want to share with the listeners before we let go today?
Yes, absolutely. So, in regards to getting a pre-sale copy of the book, you can either head to my Instagram page, which is at Clay_Muehlstein, which is Muehlstein. The link is in the bio there, or you can go to www.readwhyme.com. And when you do click on the link, it is important to point out to click on Get Notified when the book is released. That will take you to a new page where you will have the option to either just add your email to the list, and when it is released, you'll be notified and you can purchase it then. Or if you want a special edition copy that is hardcover signed by me, you can also order that pre sale copy as well. Um, and then a message that I would like to leave with everybody is never quit. So don't quit on yourself. Um, don't give up, because the thing that is usually causing you to want to quit is really like the biggest treasure in disguise that could possibly be there for you to unwrap so many gifts, so many gold nuggets, lessons that are only going to help you get you to where you actually want to be, even though it doesn't seem like that. There was a time in Pi, it was the morning after the bike ride, where I was just sitting on this beautiful countryside overlooking this incredible view of the valley and jungle of the Pi, countryside, and on the other side of it was just a beautiful mountaintop. And I literally was crying because of how beautiful the view was. And all I could think to myself was just, this is why you don't quit. This is why you don't give up, because this is what's waiting for you on the other side of not quitting. Just absolutely beautiful experiences, absolutely beautiful moments. And you're probably not going to have an idea of why you should keep going when you're going through very difficult things, but you have to have a level of faith that you will understand why you went through what you're going through at a later date. So don't try to have it all figured out when you're going through it. Go through it with an open heart and open mind and ask yourself, what can I learn through this that'll make me a better person or make me a stronger person? And just have that question kind of in the background and try to be the best version of yourself. Keep pushing forward, keep moving forward, and it will all make sense in the long run as long as you don't give up. So never quit.
Never quit and just keep on living, huh?
Yes,
Clay,
sir.
thank you for your time today. You're the man. And bye, everybody.
See you, buddy. Thank you.